All right. Good morning. So it is my duty to share out the experience of wow. I'm going to reread the scripture, Isaiah 40:29 through 31. God gives strength to the weary and increased power of the weak. Even youth grow tired and weary, and young people stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So, as Grace had told you, I had a chance to take a few future leaders to the Next Generation Leadership Conference of UMC, also known as the WOW Conference, in Springfield. Let me start by telling you that it was rocky at first because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. We were the first group to arrive, and shortly after we had gotten there, the buses and vans started rolling in. So it was like hundreds of youth getting off of buses, and I had a chance to see a few of the local St. Louis United Methodist congregations there, a couple of my fellow classmates at Eden, and then I had a chance to meet some new United Methodist leaders that were, and we kind of talked about and exchanged information about different mission trips. So it was a wide spread of fellowship. Once the doors had opened to the main auditorium, roughly around 2,000 youth and young leaders or youth ministers filled the room. The MC, a guy known as Big Al, he got the youth riled up. It was loud music, it was dance, it was excitement, it was worship in a different way. And as young as I look, it was kind of hard to understand, but the kids enjoyed it. The kids really dove in. But when we heard a message, it was very inspirational. They had speakers come, they had a band. When I say I've never experienced a group of young people shouting, praising, hugging, crying, dancing, really on fire to worship the Lord and happy to be a part of a community that cared about them and allowed them space to express themselves. But that's not it. It was when we broke off into the small sessions. So they have different sessions and groups choose which ones. And thanks to Grace, we attended some very powerful sessions. In our session, that was the moment when I seen our scripture text. I saw it and felt it at work. Our youth had a chance to hear a powerful testimony, one that you don't hear on an average Sunday morning. Big Al, also the MC of the event, is a Louisiana-based gospel hip-hop artist. We learned that Big Al Cherry is a family man, a motivational speaker, a preacher, a youth leader, a program director of KBYO 92.7 FM. He stood in front of two large groups because he had two separate sessions. And these were people that perhaps they were less experienced than him. And by the length of the autograph line, people that he mentored, at least from a distance. But none of that mattered more than speaking God's truth from his life view. Big Al gave a testimony that spoke to the brokenness that he experienced coming up, the hurt that he endured as a youth, watching his parents handle curveballs that life throws at us, the ones from parents, from growing up in a single parent home, abusive stepdad, to reuniting with his biological father at adulthood. He also talked about his wrong turns. He talked about how when he himself had grew weary and tired, his attempts to put it to an end by way of suicide. That is the part that opened my eyes. He asked a room full of future young leaders how many of them had attempted or thought about attempting suicide. Half of the room raised their hands. At least, and this is on the lower half, at least 50 young people between the ages of 14 and 18 raised their hands to say that at some point, one point in their so few years of life, that they felt like no one, not one person, in a world full of people cared about them or could help them out of their situations. Good thing that those that did attempt it didn't work, because they had a chance to hear how there still is hope. How with God, things can change. But in hearing it, I still was a little skeptical, because I thought, nah, not my kids, not the ones that came with me, not the kids at Lafayette Park or the other youth that I work with outside of a church community. It can't be them. This is a little bit too heavy. But then I spent some time reflecting, and that's when I realized what was really unfolding. I came to realize that even the youth. I'm 34 years old. I've been a Christian my whole life. Partially because I was forced to go to church, and the other half was because I found a desire inside of myself that wanted to fellowship and be in community with other people like me. We have been at this walk for many years. Some of you, most of you, probably more years than I've been living. And we still don't have it down. We've been taught that Christians have to act a certain way. I think the saying is, fake it until you make it, right? But we know that that's not true. The truth is, it's hard. We mess up all the time, or at least I do. We get tired ourselves. And another truth is, I can't do it on my own. I've tried. We've tried. And it didn't work. So we gave ourselves to Christ, and in return, God gave us strength to overcome our weaknesses, to increase our powers. Even young people get tired. And I know we think, tired of what? You're not adulting, you're not paying bills, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But the youth get tired of school, their living conditions, work, some of them work, fighting off outside opinions, which I know is a struggle because the household teaches one thing, but when you go out amongst your friends, there's other things. Trying to figure out who has their best interests in mind. They stumble too. But the noun tense of but states an objection. With our hope in the Lord, the scripture says that there's an objection to everything going wrong. That we soar on wings like eagles. That we will run and not get weary. walk and not faint. What I'm saying to you is, God has made us a living testimony. We didn't pull ourselves out of where we were. Each and every one of us shares something in common, that we didn't and we are not doing it alone. That's the part of being transparent that we have to be able to share with the youth coming up, so that they can have an understanding that we're human, they're human, we're struggling, and we understand that they could struggle too. It's that part that allows us to be able to connect. We have to be able to share our story, not knowing exactly what someone else is going through. We never know who the person is that needs to hear Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, the plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. We don't know who's needing to hear that because they feel like they're stuck and can't get up. Or St. Matthew 19:26, but Jesus looked at them and said to them, with humanity, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. That person that needs to hear a reminder that people will let you down, but God's got you. Or 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of sound mind. That person that when we get a little scared or nervous, just need to hear one word of how we overcame. How about Isaiah 41:10? Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will hold you up. I will hold you with my righteous hand at the moment when we are in unfamiliar grounds. Every day I need 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to people. God is faithful, and God will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with temptation, God will also provide a way of escape that you may be able to endure, because managing adults and youth is very challenging to me. Or how about when we feel isolated from everyone and need reminders from Psalms 32:8? I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. These are all scriptures that perhaps at some point in our life we've seen them activated. We've had a chance to have that encounter of God, and somebody else is standing waiting to hear those things. I had a chance in attending that conference. I know I'm sharing out about what I got from the conference, but it was really what the conference had given to me. I had a chance to see the children stand in groups, locked arm in arm, crying, confessing that life is hard. I also had a chance to see how the youth came to their own rescue, and the leadership there, we stood and we prayed, crying out over them in understanding that, or to allow them to feel and know that we're there with them, that we feel the things that they're going through, to encourage them that life goes on, that there is life with God and we can overcome. That taught me that God didn't save me for me. That God saved me so that I can share that I can share my story to God's people, because you never know whose life you may save just by sharing your story. And God's people consist of even the youth. So let our actions as adults, as church leaders, and as members of God's kingdom be evident to the youngsters in our life. Let us hug them with our words and our actions of support, that it be understood to them that let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And that scripture comes from 1 Timothy 4:12, a piece that every youth there had a chance to take home. Thank you.